Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see very important articles that appear in our today's newspaper. First of all, I'll let you know the topics of the day, and later on we are going to see each and every topic from prelims and as well as mains point of view. And at last I'll be giving you prelims practice questions also, so that you will be getting some idea like how questions can be formed or framed from that topic. Okay. First, let us see the topics of the day. First one is Russia expresses readiness to boost oil LNG supplies to India. So this article is talking about India-Russia relations. And now Russia is saying that I am ready. I can supply LNG and as well as oil to India. So because of this article will be important from GS paper 2 from international relations, and even this article is important from your science and technology from GS paper 3. Our next topic is plan to relocate Great Nicobar's tribal communities stirs fresh concern. So this article is talking about Great Nicobar Mega Island Development Project. So now we are going to displace tribals in this Nicobar area. So now they are showing some fresh concerns. Here you have to see what is that fresh concerns, and you have to see some facts regarding that development project. You may get a prelims based question for sure from this topic. And next topic is INS Aridhaman nuclear powered submarine enters India's naval fleet. And this year, because of Operation Sindoor and West Asian War and even war in other parts of the world, you may get for sure 4 to 5 questions related to defense and defense equipments. Okay, so you have to be ready and you have to thoroughly go through this defense related topics, guys. And next topic is lessons learned. There is a stampede in Bihar. Because of that, many people died. Around 8 women died and many were injured. And this article is saying that we are prone to stampedes, and we know that especially in these religious congregations, whenever the celebrity comes and even the political campaigns, we often see the stampedes. Even though despite of the experience, we learn nothing from this stampedes. That is about this article, and this is important from your GS paper 3 under disaster management. Our next topic is NCERT granted deemed university status. In our yesterday's class, I said NCERT got the status, and this time you may get a basic prelims based question regarding NCERT, or you may get a question related to what is this deemed university. Okay, so these are the topics now we are going to discuss in this class. Okay, see this title, guys, read out the title. Russia expresses readiness to boost oil, LNG supplies to India. What does it mean? Now, Russia is ready to supply oil and LNG supplies to India. Okay, that is this article. So, from which subject you can say this? It is talking about India-Russia relations. It is part of GS paper 2. And next you have to see about basics of crude oil and basics of LNG also. There is a possibility of getting question. Already we discussed about oil clearly, crude oil, fractional distillation, and I gave you work regarding at which temperature which compounds are like separated. And in our earlier classes we discussed in detail about LPG, right? And now there is a chance of getting question related to this LNG. So how can you get a question? How many formats you can get a question here is? First one here is, they'll give you simple statement based question. Consider the following statements regarding LNG. And they'll give you statements and they'll ask you how many are correct or which are correct. That is the first possible question. And the second possible question is pair based question. Recently we discussed about piped natural gas. Yes or no? Can you recall that there is a separate article related to that? And we discussed about LPG, and we discussed about, now we are going to discuss about LNG. They'll give you in this way and they'll give you description about that. It may be like composition, it may be like stored or any other feature, and they'll ask you how many pairs are correct or which are correct pairs. That is the second type of question. And third type of question that you can see is statement 1, statement 2 and statement 3. In this 3 statements based question, the statement 1 will be always right, and they'll ask you statement 2 and 3 are correct, both are explaining statement 1, that is the option 1. Option 2 will be 2 and 3 are correct, but only one statement in this 2 and 3 will explain statement 1. And option 3 will be statement 2 is wrong, statement 3 is right. Option 4 will be statement 3 is incorrect, statement 2 is correct. So like that you will be getting question. So in that way also you may get, they may give you statement regarding LNG and they will give you statements, and you have to see whether these 2 and 3 statements are explaining this first statement or not. That is the third type of question. And fourth type of question is, they will give you statement 1 and statement 2. It is simple. Statement 1 and 2 are correct, 2 is explaining 1. Statement 1 and 2 are correct, but statement 2 is not explaining first statement. One statement is incorrect and the statement is correct. So like that you will be getting 4 options. So in these 4 ways you may get a question. Okay, from this LNG, LPG, PNG and crude oil. So you have to be very careful related to the basic science part. Okay, you know about LPG, you know about crude oil. Now let us see about LNG. What is the full form of LNG? Yes, liquefied natural gas. Okay, here in this table you can see what exactly the difference between LPG and LNG. And even they may give you statements by comparing LPG and LNG also. Okay, LPG is nothing but liquefied petroleum gas, LNG is liquefied natural gas. And what are the constituents of LPG? We have propane and butane 60 to 40%, and very minor constituents like propylene, isobutane, butane is also present, right? That thing we discussed. And in this LNG we have primarily methane. What is the formula of methane? CH4. Then what about PNG, piped natural gas? What we have, the main component? There also we have methane only, okay? And next, if you see the production, in 4 methods we can produce this LPG. First one is by oil refiners, and whenever we are processing this natural gas, we can produce this. And even bio LPG we can produce. Plastic to LPG studies are under research now. These are the 4 methods. But how we can produce this LNG here is, whatever the natural gas is there, we have to cool at -degrees centigrade. That to -162 degrees centigrade we have to cool it. Then this natural gas is compressed into this LNG at that -degrees centigrade. Okay. And next one here is where we can store this LPG. Normally in our homes, in commercial purpose, we can store that LPG in cylinders. That too, we are keeping that in any conditioner, air conditioner, no, at room temperature, we are storing that in cylinders. But this LNG is compressed in -162 degrees centigrade. That means we need cryogenic extra equipment to store this LNG. Okay. Extra equipment is not required for this LPG. We can store normally in the gas cylinders at our room temperature that we are using in our homes daily. But here we need extra cryogenic tanks to store this LNG. And next one here is density. Very important point. LPG is having higher density. Okay, whatever the LPG that you are storing in our homes in the cylinders, it is having high density. That means the weight of LPG is more compared to that of air. But LNG, it is lighter. Okay, if it is heavier and if it is lighter, which is harmful? If it is lighter means it will be evaporating as easily as possible. But heavy means it won't evaporate that much easily. So which can easily catch fire, LPG or LNG? LPG. Okay, LPG is having higher risk of fire if leaked, but it is generally safer because it will evaporate into air because of light density or low density. Are you understanding? So in this way you have to connect each and every point, and on this UPSC will give you a question. So if UPSC wants to make the statements, first one here is they will focus on composition, because you need to know exactly what is the composition. And next they may be asking you about storage. They will be saying whether you are having general knowledge of LPG and LNG or not. And next one here is, for sure they will be asking about density, because if you know the density, then only you can know like which is safer and which is not safer. Okay, so that is the thing, guys. So these are the differences between LPG and LNG. Don't miss. You may get for sure 100% question on LPG, LNG, PNG and crude oil. See this next article, guys. Plan to relocate Great Nicobar's tribal communities stirs fresh concern. What is this article talking about? It is talking about Great Nicobar project, right? Okay. How if UPSC wants to give a question from prelims point of view, in which areas it can focus? First one is there is a chance of asking question on directly what is this project is about. Second one is we are going to displace tribal people. They may ask question on tribals. Yes, because in 2018, if you see PYQs, there was a question on PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. And all these tribal population present in this Andaman and Nicobar comes under PVTG except one. What is that? Nicobar is. On this, UPSC can ask you a question. Second. And next one is in your geography, especially in your Indian geography, the second chapter is physiographic divisions. Tell me what are the physiographic divisions we have in our country? Himalayas. If you see physiographic divisions of our country, here we have what? Himalayas. And below that what we have? Great Plains or Northern Plains of India. And this part is Peninsula. And here we have West Coastal Plains, East Coastal Plains. Here we have Thar Desert. Here we have one group of island called as Lakshadweep. Here we have Andaman and Nicobar. Yes, Andaman and Nicobar is part of your basic geography that you need to know. On this also UPSC can give you a question related to this purely geography related to the formation of Andaman, and even we have 10-degree channel which is separating this Andaman and Nicobar. You have to know that. And even there are volcanoes in this Andaman and Nicobar island. Can you name what is the name of that volcano? Barren Island. On this already UPSC asked question. On that also UPSC can repeat a statement. Yes, you have to see basic geography of Andaman and Nicobar islands also. Okay, so are you understanding how the questions can be formed? So first one is about, you need to know what is this project is about. Next one is geography point of view Andaman and Nicobar you have to see. And this one is nearby we have some water bodies. Okay, here we have one important strait. What is that strait? Java and Sumatra, between this we have a strait called the Strait of Malacca. And now here Strait of Hormuz is in use. So they can connect the Strait of Hormuz and Strait of Malacca. Why we are developing this is to trap this trade only. So here there is a connection between again Strait of Hormuz and Strait of Malacca. Now on that you may get a question. Okay, whatever the question UPSC wants to give, you need to be ready. For that reason only I am telling all those things. Okay. Now let us see about this. Andaman and Nicobar are considered as extension of Himalayas, right? They were formed because of plate tectonics. Okay. Here one important point you have to remember is, in this Andaman and Nicobar, which kind of rainfall we can see? How many types of rainfalls that you know? Recently geography class done. How many types of rainfalls? Conventional, orographic, cyclonic. So here, which rainfall we can see here in Andaman and Nicobar? Now mostly we can see like cyclones will be formed in Bay of Bengal, that will be often in use. So we can see cyclonic rainfall can be formed, and even it is very much near to equator. I said 10-degree channel is separating Andaman and Nicobar. 0 degree is our equator. So it is very much near to this equator. So we can also see conventional rainfall in this Andaman and Nicobar region. So because of this, which kind of forest we can see here? Wet evergreen forest. Conventional rainfall is also called as 4 o'clock rainfall. Why it is called as 4 o'clock rainfall? Evening times at 4 o'clock we can see rainfall, right? That is the meaning of this conventional rainfall or 4 o'clock rainfall. So here we can see wet evergreen forest. So in wet evergreen forest, which kind of trees we can see? Environment is done. Now tell me, which trees are seen in this evergreen forest? Are you understanding how I am linking everything? Okay, tell me guys. Environment is done. Come on, evergreen forest, evergreen trees. On this you will get question. Many a times UPSC repeatedly asked about this vegetation, plants. trees in thorny areas, in dry deciduous forest, in evergreen forest, they asked, and even in Himalayas. This time it is very important because we discussed about forest fire in Uttarakhand. Which trees were there in that area? We discussed, right? In Arunachal Pradesh also, there was a forest fire. In Uttarakhand also forest fire in Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand state government cannot handle that. Because of that, they approached Indian Army. Indian Army sent some helicopters to stop that fire. Can you recall all those things that we discussed? No idea. Very good. Which trees that we discussed there? I said about specially there is one tree species. It starts with C. Not sal. Not sal. Check once. If I tell, you will again listen and you will forget. Search after the class. Okay, so here there will be also a chance of getting question on wet evergreen forest related vegetation. And even here one more environment related point that you have to see is Andaman and Nicobar is having lots of national parks. Yes, on this national parks also UPSC can give a question because it is a repeated theme. If you have solved these questions of environment and ecology PYQs, many times they asked about national parks and even difference between biosphere reserve, national park and transition zone. Yes, here you have to see even national parks in this Andaman and Nicobar region. And here we have a definite biodiversity in this Andaman and Nicobar region. So you have to see which animal species are going to be affected. Now tell me guys, we discussed number of times, which are the animal species are getting affected because of this great Nicobar development project. There are 4 important species of animals. Tell me. First one is, yes, leatherback turtles. Second one, salt crocodile. Next, on the salt crocodile, UPSC asked many times questions. And next one is Nicobar megapod. Next one is Nicobar tree shrew. These are the 4 animal species. They are going to be get affected because of this development project. First one is leatherback turtles. Next one is salt water crocodile. Next one is Nicobar megapod. Next one is Nicobar tree shrew. It is like a small squirrel. Okay, so these are the 4 animal species are going to be affected. So you have to see some important points. Just you have to see some research. You have to do some research. Leatherback turtles naturally found in which environment? What is their IUCN category status? Okay, and what is their habitat? And on which they will feed, like what is their food, everything. For all these things. And the saltwater crocodile is under least concern. Okay, apart from that, which kind of crocodile species that we can see in India? You have to see that and where they are located. These are very important. On this, you may get a question. Okay, now let us come to this Andaman Nicobar development project. So here we have Andaman and Nicobar. In this Nicobar region, we are going for development of a project. And in this project, we are going to have 4 infrastructure development things. What are those things that we are developing here? First one is one airport. First one is Greenfield Airport. And second one is here Strait of Malacca is very near, and this Strait of Malacca is the busiest shipping route in the world. And most of the trade will be going on this Strait of Malacca. So here if you are developing a port here, we can easily handle the traffic. Okay. So for that we are developing transshipment port. And third important one is we are developing a township to increase tourism. If you are building airport, transshipment port, what happens? The movement of people will be increased. If movement of people is increasing, there will be increase in need for hotels, food, restaurant, luxury things, everything. For that we are developing a township. And fourth one is if you are developing airport, port and as well as township, we need a power. Can we supply power from Hyderabad to Andaman and Nicobar by laying lines? That will be not possible, right? So for that we are developing solar power plant. So these are the 4 important things that we are developing in this Nicobar Island case. Okay, now what is this article is saying that if we want to develop that project, first one is we have to clear forest. Without clearing forest, we cannot. So here one concern here is the millions of trees are going to be cut down for this project. Then what happened? Trees are an example. Forest is an example of carbon sink. So here obviously this carbon sink will be reduced. Recently our government updated what? INDC's intended, nationally intended what? INDC's determined contribution, intentionally determined, nationally determined contributions. What are those 3 things that we discussed there? Only 3 points, right? First one is we have to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Okay, next we have to increase non-fossil fuel power capacity. Third one is we have to increase our carbon sinks. But here if you are developing this project, if you are cutting this millions of trees, what happens? Obviously, can we reach the target? It is one concern now. Okay, next one here is we are going to lose biodiversity, especially these 4 species will be getting affected. And next one here is it is tectonically active. It may not stable if there is any earthquake or volcanic eruption happens in that area. This investments will be gonna lost. And next one here is tribal people. So actually these people are prehistoric people. Normally people are like belonging to the prehistoric period. Even today these tribal people who are living in that area, they depended on hunting and gathering only. And they depend on that forest there. If we are displacing them from one place to another place, can they survive? Can we protect their culture? Can we protect their livelihood? No, for sure. So these are the major concerns. And now you guys tell me, which are the tribal groups present in this Andaman and Nicobar Islands? First one is Andamanis, Nicobaris from the name itself. Next one is Jarawa, Sentinelese, Ong, Shompen. Any other? Okay, so these are the tribal groups and you have to remember only Nicobar is not PVTG but remaining all are PVTGs. What is the PVTG full form? Particularly vulnerable tribal population. When can we say any tribal group as PVTG? And how many PVTGs are there in India? In India we have 75 PVTGs. And tell me what is the criteria? When can I say that tribal group is a PVTG? Is it possible to say every tribal group is PVTG? No. Then what is the criteria? There should be a criteria, no? What is that? First one is population. Population should be stagnant or decreasing. There should not be any increasing population. First one, population should be stagnant or less or decreasing. And second one is they need to follow primitive technology only. They should not use any advanced technology. And these people are dependent on still today hunting and gathering only. And next one is socio-economic status. They should be sound. No, they should be very low economic status, socio-economic status. Okay, so on this criteria, we will describe any type as a PVTG. And in India, we have 75 PVTGs. Okay, now what is this article is saying that we want to displace 2 tribal communities for development of this project. Which are those 2? First one is Nicobaris, second one is Shompen. These 2 tribal groups we want to displace. Okay, now finally government came up with a draft plan related to relocation of these people. But now there are fresh concerns. What are those fresh concerns here is? First statement in this draft plan is central government said that this plan will not disturb or displace tribes. Is that right? First thing they said here is this plan this developmental project is not going to disturb or displace tribes. It is disturbing and displacing tribes. So it is not acceptable. That is the first thing. And second thing here is there is no clarity on exact relocation. Where these people are relocated, there is no exact sites also. And even how many number of families will be getting displaced. There is no clarity, and even there is no map related to this project boundaries. So because of this, there are certain fresh concerns now related to this tribal relocation in this Nicobar region. Are you understanding? These are the two important reasons that you have to remember. Okay, that's it guys, and let us see some facts regarding this project. And you have to remember some facts. So this project came up by Government of India in year 2021, very important. And who came up with this? Niti Aayog. Okay, Niti Aayog came up with this project in year 2021, and they want to develop this project in southernmost islands of Andaman and Nicobar, because we want to improve development and we want to improve economic activities, and this project is aligning with our India's maritime vision and as well as Amrit Kal vision. That is nothing but developed India status. Because of this, we are coming up with this project. And what are the important infrastructure we are going to develop? First one is shipment port, and next one is Greenfield International Airport, and we are going for this Greenfield Township also, and next one is solar and gas based power plants to meet energy requirements. Okay, let us see some facts related to this Great Nicobar Island. In this Andaman and Nicobar Islands, we have around 836 islands, and very important point is Andaman and Nicobar is divided by 10-degree channel, and many a times UPSC asked question on this. You have to know 10 degrees channel, 9 degrees and 8 degrees. These three are very important. Okay, I think your sir will be discussing that in Indian geography. Whenever they start Indian geography, they'll tell about these 3 degrees, 10 degrees, 9 degrees and 8 degrees. If you have at least open that and you have to see where exactly it is located, please make a note. On this also you may get a question. And this time, if you see from last 1 to 1.5 year, there are certain lines across the world in news. I'll let you know, please make a note. First one is 49th degree channel, 49th degree, 49th is in news, and next one is blue line, green line, blue line, green line, purple line, blue line, green line, purple line, 10 degrees channel, 10 degrees, 9 degrees and 8 degrees, Durand line, Okay, so here based on these lines also you may get a pair based question in your examination. Okay, you have to be careful. And next one, if you see about this Great Nicobar Island, it is one of the largest island in Nicobar group, and it is having tropical rainforest, and it is just 90 nautical miles from Sumatra in Indonesia, where we have the Strait of Malacca. Okay, and ecological significance here is we have two important national parks in this Nicobar region. First one is Campbell Bay National Park, and next one is Galathea Bay. And this Galathea Bay is famous for this leatherback turtles. Okay, and this Nicobar is also under UNESCO's Man and Biosphere program. And this area is holding small populations of Shompen and Nicobaris. We have to replace them or displace them. Okay, see this guys, next article. You can see INS Ardhaman S4. Can you see that on that? INS Ardhaman S4. Title says INS Ardhaman, nuclear powered submarine, enters India's naval fleet. For sure, from defense point of view, you will get more than 4 questions guys. Don't be get surprised. Every year we'll see 1 or 2, but this time minimum 4 we are expecting from this defense. And whatever the material we gave from institute in that science and technology book, open this defense chapter and thoroughly go through this each and every fact. Okay, what you have to see is on which principle, if you are seeing any equipment, it is working on which principle. And this one you have to see about fuel, like which fuel that we are using. And this one is what is that equipment is about, whether it is air jet or whether it is helicopter or whether it is ship or frigates or submarine or it is a drone, you have to see that. And next one is where it is developed, whether it is India's or whether we borrowed or whether we got from any other country. Okay, so these 4 to and even range, so till how much it will go. And if you see the missiles, you have to see whether it is surface to surface or air to air or surface to air missile system. So if you go thoroughly with this, yes, you can do. And one more thing here is you have to see which equipments that we used in Operation Sindoor. On this, you may get a question, okay? Because you need to know that basic things because it is India. India only invaded, right? So you have to see that. Okay, so here if you say this title of this article, it says that it is nuclear powered submarine. Okay, so here first of all you have to understand what is a submarine. Submarine means what? Marine is nothing but related to water. Sub means under. So actually the submarines are the equipments which are present underwater. Why we need to have this underwater related equipments? What is the reason? As you all know that India is having a very big coastline of 11,098 kilometers and we have a huge threats from these waters also. So here we have to ensure that no enemy is entering into our country or no enemy is using our water to attack India, right? So for that we need to have submarines. So if you are having ships and frigates that will be there on the surface of water, that can be easily seen and that can be easily attacked, right? If we want to do sudden attacks, how can we do? For example, if you are on the land, we can use forest and we can use guerrilla warfare. But if you want to attack from the water, can we do attacks suddenly or special attacks or surprise attacks on other country without appearing? So for that only we develop this submarines and they will be present under the water. And if we find any enemy is coming, so from this we can use this, we can fire this missiles from water itself. So for that reason we need to have the submarines. And in this submarines we have two types. First one is diesel submarines, the next one is nuclear submarines. What is this diesel submarines? Diesel submarines is nothing but the fuel which is required for the submarine is through burning of diesel. Okay, if we want to burn anything, what we require? Oxygen we require, right? Without oxygen, can we go for burning of anything? Combustion cannot happen without oxygen. So if we have a submarine, if it is powered by diesel means it will come to the surface frequently for a year. So because of this, what happened? It can be easily noticed and observed by these enemies. So to overcome this problem, we developed this nuclear submarines. In this nuclear submarines, nuclear reactions will happen. After that, whatever the energy produced, that energy will be used for this submarine. So there is no need of this nuclear submarines to come to the surface frequently as this diesel. Okay, so these are the submarines. And now this INS Andaman is fourth India's nuclear submarine. So because of this, the code name is S4. Are you understanding? So here you have to see about India's nuclear submarine list also. Okay, if you see nuclear submarine is advanced naval vessel and it is powered by, it is getting fuel from this nuclear reactions through nuclear reactors. We are installing nuclear reactors in which nuclear reaction can happen and whatever the energy we are producing, that will provide power to this submarines. And in this nuclear submarines, we have three types. First one is SSN, second one is SGN and third one is SSBN. SSN is like very traditional nuclear submarine and it will carry only conventional weapons. Only traditional weapons only it will carry. But these two, SSGN and SSBN, they can carry guided missile system along with traditional weapons. Actually, we have four nuclear submarines in our country. Last three, S2, S3 and S4, they are very high advanced nuclear submarines in our country. They are largest, they are most complex and they can carry ballistic missiles also. So if you see about those four nuclear submarines, first one is INS Chakra and the code name is S1, that is nuclear submarine 1 of our country, and we got it on a lease. Do you know this lease? Just for rent. Do you know this lease agreement? Okay. So we got that INS Chakra. It is the first leased nuclear attack submarine in our country. And later on we started developing this nuclear submarines in our country. And the second one is INS Arihant. The code name is S2. And it launched its first indigenous SSBN in 2009. and we commissioned in 2016. We started making that in India. It is the first indigenous SSBN of our country, and we commissioned in year 2016. And after that we have third one, S3 is the code, that is INS Arighat. INS Arighat we inducted in year 2024. And next, this is the fourth one, that is INS Aridhaman, and the code name is S4, and it's the third submarine we developed in our country, and it is like it was to be commissioned 2025, but finally in 2026 we commissioned this in our Navy now. So these are the four India's nuclear submarines, S1, S2, S3 and S4, and you have to remember one thing, that is they are nuclear submarines. Next one here is, all these three are very high complex, that is third stage of submarines, and they can carry ballistic missiles. And now in this Ardhaman, we incorporated with K4 ballistic missiles, and this missile will be having the range of around 3,500 kilometers. So these are the 4 points that you have to remember. Okay, that's it guys. Here if you see some facts regarding this Ardhaman, the first one is 4th SSBN, code name is S4, and we had 75% of indigenous content in the submarine. K4 ballistic missiles had been equipped, and the range here is 3,500 kilometers. That's it guys. And see this next article, lessons unlearned. What is this article talking about? It is talking about stampede. So what is the meaning of stampede? Have you heard this word stampede? In Telugu we will call it as tokkisalata. So if large group of people they gather at one place, what happens if there is any panic? What happens? They won't think front and back. They'll go on trying to protect themselves. And what happens? Obviously that will lead to this kind of stampedes. And recent report says that in the major causes of stampedes in India is 3 reasons. First one is religious congregations. Wherever lots of people they gather for this kind of religious events, there we can see stampedes. And second one is political campaigns. You know, different political parties will go for campaigning, and if you have seen one movie called as Rangam, in that movie also they will show about the stampede. And third one is celebrities. If celebrities are coming, obviously that will lead to stampede. And recently in this Sandhya Theatre and RCV issue in Bangalore, RCV issue in Bangalore, right? Okay, yeah, Vijay issue. Okay, Vijay. That is political related campaigning. So here, these are the major reasons for the stampedes. So now, stampede happened in this Bihar region. It is in one temple called as Ma Shitla Mandir. In this mandir, around 10,000 people they gathered, and in that stampede happened, and around 8 women were died, and many people they got injured. So because of this, it is in news. And if you see the data related to stampedes in India, whenever you are writing your mains answer, for sure you have to incorporate data, and you have to draw nice map of India, and you have to show examples of stampedes. You can show this Tamil Nadu, you can show this Bangalore, you can show this Telangana, and you can show this northern part belt. Majorly religious related stampedes will happen in this northern part. Okay. If you see this data, nearly 4,000 stampede events had been recorded in India from last 3 decades. That means from last 30 years onwards, there are more than 4,000 stampedes. And from 2000 to 2022 itself, around 3,074 people died because of this stampedes in India. And stampedes, if you see when they started, means we started collecting data related to stampedes since 1996 onwards. Okay, so what are the factors? The first one is, if you are organizing anything, if you are not having a proper planning, obviously that will lead to mismanagement of crowd. Okay, that is the first important problem. Inadequate crowd control measures. And next one here is, we need to establish proper barriers. For example, have you seen normally temples, if you go to the temples, normally if it is not a festival season, everything will be like, no one will be there, we can go and we can come easily. If there is any specific event like Shivaratri or Ram Navami, what happen? In that space only they will try to use this ropes and they will try to create some queue lines. In that small area only, it will take lot of time to move in that because of that intense queue. Then what happen if we are arranging or organizing any this kind of events, we need to have the proper barriers. So if you're not arranging these proper barriers, we cannot maintain that crowd. So if there is any failure of barriers, that will leads to this kind of stampedes. And next one is poor planning and coordination. If there is any mismanagement of event logistics, especially which happened in this Bangalore, that led to this stampedes. And next one is if there is any false information or rumors, if they are spreading that, then what happen? Obviously, that will leads to creation of panic in the people, that will leads to stampedes. And next one here is if there is any high crowd density, okay, then that will also leads to this kind of stampedes. And NDMA gave some guidelines related to control of stampede, and you have to remember this. On this you may get a mains based question. What is a stampede? What are the causes? What are the NDMA guidelines to control stampedes? In this way you may get a mains based question. If you see NDMA guidelines, the first one is, it said about crowd monitoring. We have to use technologies like CCTV, drones, and as well as we can use some other technology, and so that we can see real time crowd density in that area, how many people were there, and you have to analyze like how can we disperse that people so that we can maintain the gap between person to person. And this one is infrastructure design. So whenever we are organizing any event, we have to ensure that there are multiple entry and multiple exit. Can you recall this Jallianwala Bagh incident? Why that led to this massive massacre? There was a very small entry and exit, right? So if we had like multiple entry and multiple exit, people might have left that place so that the casualties were less, right? So in the same way, this NDMA is saying that we have to ensure that there are multiple entry and multiple exits. There should not be only one entry and one exit. And next one here is capacity mapping had to be done. So before organizing any event, we have to identify how many people are going to attend that, and based on that we have to maintain the capacity and we have to limit the entry of people. And next one here is public address system we have to maintain properly. Like we have to give correct information to the people by using sirens or mics, or we can send messages to their mobiles like your time is this much, at this time you have to be there. So like that we have to give the proper information to the people so that we can decrease the crowd. Okay, yesterday there is one article, right? It is about NCERT granted deemed university status. Here you may get a question related to NCERT separately in your prelims, or else you may get question related to deemed university. Okay, who will give that, under which act, what are the responsibilities, like that you may get a prelims based question. This is very important topic for 2026 prelims. Okay, here if you see this article, it is saying that NCERT, National Council of Education Research and Training, got the status of deemed university, deemed to be university. Okay, deemed to be university is granted by, please make a note, central government. Exactly which ministry? Ministry of Education will be giving the status on advice of University Grant Commission, on advice of UGC. Ministry of Education will give this permission of deemed to be university, and it is according to this section 3 of UGC Act of 1956. Okay, under this section 3 of UGC Act 1956, NCERT got this status of deemed university. Who gave this? Central government, Ministry of Education, very important. And if any organization got this status, there will be some changes, right? What are the changes that we can see in this NCERT from now is, first one is it can launch new courses. It can have its own undergraduate, that is nothing but UG. It can launch PG and doctoral, that is nothing but PhD courses also. Now we can also get that degrees from NCERT. That is the first thing. And next one here is, now UGC will be having direct oversight on this NCERT, like curriculum, what they are following, which kind of quality, and how the students are getting benefited, whether they are having infrastructure or not, and they have to completely follow UGC guidelines now. And next one here is mandatory quality assurance. If we want to check the quality of education, higher education, we have one rankings called as NIRF ranking. Now, this NCERT should also participate in this NIRF ranking. So, based on infrastructure, student to teacher ratio, based on the quality, based on the number of publications, everything. Now, NCERT will be also getting ranked under this NIRF. Okay, next one here is it has to compulsory need to adapt academic bank of credit system, and they have to allow students flexible learning pathways. Okay, now let us see some facts regarding this NCERT. NCERT full form is National Council of Education Research and Training, and when it was formed, please make a note, it formed in year 1961. It formed in year 1961. It is not a constitutional body. It is not a statutory body. It is an autonomous organization. Very important point. It is an autonomous organization under Societies Registration Act, but it is not a statutory body. And next one here is what it will do. It will advise central government and state government in matters related to school education. But now it is entering into this higher education. And what kind of activities it does? It will do research on education and innovation. It will develop curriculum and revision. It will develop textbooks that we know and other teaching learning materials. Next one is teacher education and professional development it will do. It will also evaluate education assessment, and even it will be helpful for international cooperation education as well. And recently NCERT controversy is in news, right? What is that NCERT controversy that we discussed? Class 8th chapter on judiciary. They said about which topic? Corruption in judiciary. And finally they removed that, and they said that we will remake that content, and for next academic year we are going to release a new books. So because of that controversy and because of this deemed to be university status, you may get a question on NCERT. That is the reason why I took this topic. Are you understanding? Okay, see these questions guys. First one, it is about INS Aridhaman. Can you see? See the question, with reference to INS Aridhaman, consider the following statements. First one is it is a nuclear powered ballistic missile submarine, SSBN. Next one is it is a part of Arihant class submarines. It contributes to India's nuclear triad. It is powered by diesel electric propulsion system. So we have only two types, nuclear, diesel. First is saying that nuclear, second is saying that diesel. No, right? So here it is not diesel, and it is Arihant class submarines. So even if you don't know this Arihant class or not, if you eliminate this fourth statement, in every we have two. In the whatever the options we have left, that is two, and actually it belongs to this Arihant class submarine. So answer will be A. It is a nuclear powered ballistic missile system. So we have three types of submarines, right? Nuclear submarines. First one is SSG, second one is SSGN, next one is SSBN. So actually all these three are belonging to this SSBN only. Okay, see this next question guys. Consider the following statements regarding NCERT. It acts as a nodal agency for developing national curriculum framework. Second one is it is a statutory body established by an act of parliament. It conducts teacher training programs. It is not by act of parliament. So answer is 1 and 3 only. Okay. So see in that way guys. Okay, that's all students. By this I am concluding. Thank you so much guys for watching. And if you like this class, please do hit the like button and please do share this class to your friends. And that's all guys. Thank you so much and I wish you all the best.